once you turn it over, it's just like what we're doing in Ukraine. We give Ukraine artillery ammunition, Stinger anti-air missiles, Javelin anti-tank. It's their stuff at that point, not the Americans. It's their stuff. That stuff belonged to the Afghans. And so this idea, this argument is just ludicrous that we left millions of dollars of stuff in Afghanistan. We didn't. We turned it over, as the previous administration would have done too, because part of their thinking was they were going to have to turn this material over. It was turned over appropriately and carefully and deliberately with the Afghan National Security Defense Forces.
Wow. So, wow. That's John Kirby. The idea that we left there is ludicrous. See, it's not leaving it there if we gave it to them. Ha ha ha. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. Bottom of this second hour. Jiminy Christmas cane. I'm so glad it's Friday. It's like all the dumb stuff backed up and decided to rain all over us on Friday. The idea that we left millions of things there is just crazy. They're trying to rewrite this. I can't even believe what I'm seeing. I mean, I know I shouldn't, but this is wild. They're trying to rewrite the history on this. I mean, by literally saying, well, you know, it's really Trump's fault here. It's Trump's fault. And it's Trump's fault. The Biden White House released a report literally blaming all of it. Every last bitty bit of it on the previous administration, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, we've talked about this before. That makes zero sense at all whatsoever. Because he actually was not listening to the military, leaders that were advising him, hey, maybe let's not do this, Maybe let's not just take everyone out and leave this vacuum of power. Let's not. And then, of course, you saw what happened. But the fact that they're trying to redo this. I wrote about this back in 2021. About it's the botching of it. Here's the gist of it. Biden has been trying to blame this on everybody from the Afghan military to Trump to the Doha agreement. The question was always not whether or not we were going to withdraw, but how we did. It always was how we were going to do it. Now, the Doha agreement, that was about stopping the Taliban from using Afghanistan as a large Airbnb for their terror base. With other, the other jihadi groups, and those two, like everyone was doing before 9/11. So before Trump left office, when he first got into office and was dealing with all of this, he withdrew all but 2,500 troops, left 2,500 as a residual force, right? And the Taliban at that point had refused to end their association with Al-Qaeda. And so the full withdrawal was unlikely still, but possible. The Taliban had not, you had two terror groups that weren't supposed to be talking, but they were. Biden was no more bound, and this is where this is so stupid. They sit here and they say that this was the previous administration. Biden was no more bound by the Doha agreement than Trump was to the Iran agreement from Obama's term or the Paris Accord. Here's the other thing. Please explain to me, if Joe Biden couldn't do anything and this was all Trump's fault, why did he extend the May deadline to September? Biden had already extended the May deadline to September, and then he ignored all counsel of his military advisors. Wall Street Journal has a great piece on that. He ignored all of the counsel of his military advisors who wanted to leave that residual force there in Kabul as a precaution. They wanted to increase diplomacy. They sit here and they blame the Trump administration. Biden had no problem ending Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. Biden had no problem reversing Trump's position on the Paris Accord. So why is he now acting? He's still acting like this is, I couldn't because the Doha agreement. That was the Trump amendment. It was the Doha. That's so stupid. He's dodging responsibility, plain and simple. Now, he was partly blaming the Afghan military, too, in the early days. And they were patterned after our own U.S. forces. But apparently, I mean, you have to realize, too, our practice in the United States, and this is why I say that, you know, you can't go anywhere else and you can't go to France and be French, you can't go to Italy and be Italian, but you can come to the United States and be American. We unite and organize around the principle of liberty. We don't organize around any kind of ethnic sect. We don't do that. That is not how Afghans operate. That's very different. You have all of these different tribal affiliations. Getting all of them to work for the common goal is very difficult. And also, you know what's difficult? If you're the Afghan military and you have your air support cut off by the new administration that came in, that makes you exponentially less effective also. So no, I think it's despicable that they're doing this. Biden was the one who chose to close Bagram Air Force Base. He was the one who chose to close it even before we got all American personnel out. He was the one who chose to close it not only before we got all American personnel out, but all of our interpreters and our informants that helped protect our troops when we were over there on mission. We announced the full withdrawal. He had the cart before the horse. Now, we could not have left our military equipment that we taxpayers bought for the Taliban to take and potentially sell. And, you know, you'll probably see some reverse engineering from China. We didn't have to do that. We didn't have to keep prisoners alive in the prisons that the Taliban then freed and was adding to their armies. Biden did not want to give the required time for this to go smoothly as was originally designed. They have been trying to, since the smoke cleared, trying to manufacture the story that none of this would have happened had we not entered into the Doha agreement. And they sit here and go, oh, well, Trump began negotiations. I mean, that's really stupid. Because here's the thing. When you're in a conflict like that, it ends in three ways. You either lose, you negotiate peace, or you win. And we had already decided in Afghanistan that winning was not an option for us. We took that off the table. We decided we're not in this to win. We're not doing this. That's the politicians, not the hearts of the soldiers. That's the politicians. No one wanted to take the time or spend the money, or honestly, all you had to do was dismiss rules of engagement and let our people do what they do. But I don't know. We didn't have the Democrats particularly don't have the stomach for that. So you're not going to win against people who are not just going to give up. So you have to negotiate something. That was the only thing that anyone that all of this political gridlock left our country with. That was it. That was it. I think it is, and Joe Biden is supposed to be the foreign policy guru. That's like me saying that I'm a football genius.